A single dad saved a billionaire heiress with one kiss. The call he got next morning changed everything. The call came at 5:12 a.m. Not early enough to be an emergency, not late enough to be a mistake, just intentional. My phone buzzed once, twice, then again, flat, persistent vibrations that cut straight through the quiet of my room. I stared at the ceiling for a moment, listening to the soft ticking of the wall clock. My daughter slept in the next room, breathing softly, unaware of how a single sound could shift the entire axis of a man's life. The name on the screen wasn't hers, not the heiress, not the woman whose lips had pressed against mine last night in desperation, fear, and something I still couldn't name. It was her father. I had expected gratitude, maybe a warning, maybe threats, but not this. "Mr. Hale," he said before I could speak. His voice was ice. Old money always sounded like refrigerated steel. "We need to talk about what really happened to my daughter." There was something wrong in his tone, something he wasn't saying. I sat up. My heartbeat stayed steady, always steady. "What do you think happened?" I asked. Silence. Then, she told me everything. Everything. A word that never means truth, only danger. When the call ended, I didn't move for a long time. I watched the early light spread across my floor like a slow confession. Something wasn't adding up. The kiss, the attack, her trembling hands on my coat, the way she said, "Please don't let me die alone." Something was wrong, and I wasn't sure whether I had saved her life or stepped straight into the collapse of my own. I met her the night before, not as a hero, just a single father walking home after closing my mechanic shop. The alley was too quiet, the air too sharp, the kind of silence that tastes like blood before you even see it. She was against the wall, shaking, eyes wide with terror. A man stood over her, his hand on her face, his other gripping her wrist hard enough to bruise. "Walk away," he said. I didn't. Sometimes life doesn't give you choices, it presents you with debts. When I pulled him off her, he didn't fight long. Cowards never do. But the real moment, the moment that changed everything, was after he ran. She was pale, breath ragged, pupils blown with fear. "My father, he can't know," she whispered. Her hands grabbed my shirt, desperate, shaking. "I'm losing consciousness. If I pass out, if I stop breathing, you need to—" She swallowed hard. "I need something to ground me. Please, kiss me." I should have refused. I should have walked away. I should have remembered who she was, billionaire royalty with more enemies than emotions. But I saw something raw in her eyes, something human. So I kissed her. Not romantic, not soft, just survival. Her breathing steadied, her pulse slowed. She clung to my coat like it was the last warm thing in her world. She left in a black SUV without giving me her name. I thought it ended there. But the morning call, her father's voice, told me I was wrong. He didn't thank me. He didn't ask if she was safe. He asked who attacked her, as if he already knew. As if last night had been staged. And when I replayed the moments, her trembling, her sudden dependence, that strange, desperate kiss, her refusal to go to the hospital, I felt something cold crawl beneath my ribs. Had I saved her, or stepped into the lies of a family that used people like weapons? I didn't tell anyone about the call, not even my daughter. Years of single fatherhood had taught me one thing: panic serves no one, especially not the innocent. Instead, I started with what I knew: her face, her voice, the faint scent of jasmine and adrenaline. I searched news reports. Nothing. No assault, no error in danger, no incident at all. It was as if last night never happened. People like her could bury anything. But people like me, we find cracks. I checked my shop's security camera. Grainy footage, but enough. It showed her running into the alley alone. No pursuer behind her. So who was the man I fought? Where did he come from? Why wasn't he on the footage? Then another detail hit me. When she kissed me, her hands were cold. Too cold. Not shock, something else. And the attacker's eyes, fear, not dominance, like he was the one ambushed. I pulled my phone records. A blocked number had called my shop twice that day. No voicemail, just silence. I checked her father's business holdings. Layers upon layers of shell companies, typical wealthy labyrinths. But one thing stood out. A lawsuit filed last year. A scandal involving internal betrayal. A whistleblower who disappeared. The same month, the Heiress spent 3 weeks abroad for recovery. It wasn't hard to connect the threads. Someone wanted her scared. Someone wanted a scene. Someone wanted witnesses. And I, the single dad, the mechanic, the nobody, was the easiest piece to move on their board. But they made a mistake. People like me don't panic. We prepare. I watched the alley footage again, frame by frame. At the exact second the attacker appeared, the camera glitched. A tiny flicker, almost invisible. Hacked. Pre-planned. She wasn't running from danger, she was running toward me. The kiss wasn't desperation, it was a mark, a message, a connection they needed to exploit. And the father's early morning call wasn't concern, it was confirmation. They wanted something from me, but what? At 2:37 p.m., the truth arrived in a white envelope, no return address, placed under my shop's door. Inside, photos. Me, her, the kiss. Angles no human could have taken. Perfect lighting, zero blur. Not spontaneous, not accidental. Orchestrated. Each photo had a timestamp, accurate to the millisecond. Someone had been waiting for that moment, waiting for us to collide exactly as they planned. Then there was the last photo, one that froze my breath. Her father, standing behind tinted glass, watching the alley, watching us. I folded the photos slowly, deliberately. This wasn't a random attack. This wasn't a woman in danger. This was leverage. On me, on her, on a family tearing itself apart from the inside. A text arrived next. Unknown number. Meet me. She needs you. I didn't go, not immediately. Instead, I drove to the address attached to the message, a private estate, security cameras, gates, guards. She was standing outside the door when I arrived, eyes red, face pale. But when she saw me, she flinched, not like a victim, like someone caught. "I didn't want you involved," she whispered. I didn't speak. Silence is a mirror. People confess to their own reflections. She swallowed hard. My father staged the attack. He needed to paint someone as a hero. He needed the public to believe I was in danger so he could, her voice cracked, so he could force me back under his control. Her eyes lifted to mine. But I wasn't supposed to drag you into it. I'm sorry, I didn't know he'd follow you. I didn't know he'd use the kiss. She broke. But I didn't move. I already knew the truth. I just needed to hear her say it. Her father entered the room like a man stepping into his own kingdom. "Mr. Hale," he greeted, smiling as if we were old friends. "I assume you've realized your part in all this." I didn't respond. Silence unsettles men like him. He laid out a contract on the table. "You will testify that you saved my daughter from a violent assailant. The press will adore you. We'll compensate you generously. And, in return, you will forget everything else you think you know." His daughter whispered, "Don't sign, he's trying to—" But he raised a hand. She went silent. Control. Always control. I opened the envelope I brought, the photos. I placed them in front of him one by one. You watched the whole thing, I said quietly. You staged it. You manipulated your daughter. And you used me because I looked convenient. His smile froze. I have copies, I added, and time-stamped footage of your men hacking my shop camera. He inhaled sharply. Just once. Just enough. You think anyone will believe a mechanic? He hissed. I leaned forward, cold and steady. I don't need them to believe me. I just need them to doubt you. His daughter covered her mouth. She knew what doubt could do to men like him. I stood. No threats, no shouting, just truth. You wanted a hero for your story, I said. Congratulations, you created one. But not for you. When I walked out, his daughter followed me to the door. Will you stay? She whispered. The wind was sharp, the sky gray. Her eyes held 1,000 apologies, but I had nothing left to give. Take back your life, I said. Then I walked away. I drove home with the windows down, letting the cold air clear the last pieces of their world off my skin. My daughter ran to me when I walked in, small arms wrapping around my waist, grounding me more than any kiss ever could. We ate dinner, talked about school, laughed at things that mattered. Later, when the house was quiet again, I sat alone at the table. The heiress would break free, or she wouldn't. But her struggle wasn't mine anymore. I saved her life once, but I saved my own when I walked away. People imagine closure is loud, shouting, breaking, finality. But real closure is quiet, a choice, a line drawn, a door shut without echo. Before bed, I glanced at my phone. One new message, unknown number, just 2 words. Thank you. Some stories end not with reunion, but with release. And as the night settled around me, soft and sure, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. Not because I won, not because they lost, but because the truth finally stood alone, cold, clean, and unshaken. And so was I. The kiss started it. The truth ended it. And I walked away untouched.
How could you do this?